Hello, this is your professor, Dr. Eric Mortensen, and in this presentation I want to discuss how to persuade an audience. So basically the objectives are learning strategies to persuade your reader, identifying strategies in model text, and practicing developing techniques for persuading an audience. So the couple things, when it comes to persuading, learning to persuade your audience, the one thing, obviously, you have to know your audience first, so that's important. So make sure you kind of have thought about who it is you're talking to or you want to talk to and what they might be expecting. You also want to avoid mistaken assumptions about them, right? You want to learn to use rhetorical appeals effectively, and you want to avoid bias. Avoiding bias is very important, right? You don't want to come off biased because obviously if someone either sees that, or if they're on the other side of the fence, then they immediately are going to shut down and kind of not want to entertain your argument. Here's a Maslow's hierarchy of sort of needs, from basic physiological needs to the higher needs that might be helpful in thinking about audience. But chances are you're going to need something more specific. So the main thing is to avoid mistaken assumptions about your audience's needs and values, right? This happens quite a bit where you kind of say, we all know, or, of course this, of course that. Realize, obviously, not everybody agrees with things, so you need to kind of be aware of that, all right? Here's an example. You're going to get a slide of an excerpt from President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. So if you can read these questions, think about them while you're reading the piece. You can pause to stop it if you need to. Now, rhetorical appeal strategically can help you to convince your reader. So there's three. So in the Greek rhetoric, there's sort of classically three kinds of appeals: to ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is appeal to the speaker. Pathos is an appeal to the emotions, and logos is an appeal to logic, or rational reasoning. They have different purposes, and of course you can use more than one. I mean, oftentimes people use this combination of these. Ethos, basically, it's about demonstrating your own knowledge and credibility. Right? So, why should someone believe you on this subject? Either because, ideally because, you know a lot about the subject, and you're a person that's not going to lie to them, and that they can count on to kind of be fair, right? And so you need to kind of present a kind of persona, accurate information, properly cited sources, and also this, a sense of you're considering both sides of the argument. You're not just kind of like trying to make straw men, or you're not just trying to sort of forget, conveniently forget arguments that might complicate your argument, right? Pathos is an appeal to emotion, right? Trying to connect with your reader emotionally, using vivid language, show, don't tell, examples, right? Trying to find ways to connect. Logos is use of facts. Obviously, it helps to have a good research base, sort of a logical organization to your paragraphs and your points, evidence, and then sound analysis that's going to sort of demonstrate that you are logically consistent and you actually make sense. Here's another example from President Obama's A More Perfect Union speech. So pause if necessary. Now, one thing that's important to do is consider both sides of an issue. This is why we talked about counter-arguments. You don't want to appear biased. I know it sounds like it might be more advantageous to forget about something, or to kind of hedge and sort of make one thing seem more true than another. I mean, it might convince some readers, but any reader that kind of knows more or researches it more, and if they find out that you're being biased unfairly, then that's a problem. People aren't going to believe you, and then why should they, right? So make sure to avoid being biased and appearing being biased. Here's an example. You can pause as necessary. And here's another one. Thanks so much, and good luck.